Aloha. So, welcome to OCEANS11. I'm John Wiltshire. I'm the general chairman of this conference with Alan Hilton of Saros. And we're just so pleased that you could come and join us here today. It's a great honor to bring this conference once again to Hawaii. We had this conference here in 2001, but we had it in Honolulu. And at that time, many of our participants said, you know, we understand that the state of Hawaii is more than just the island of Oahu, and we'd like the opportunity to see some other places. So we said, every 10 years when this conference comes back to the state of Hawaii, we'll do that. So we brought it over here to the Big Island, because the Big Island is a special place. It's the second most populous county in the state. We have 13 of the 15 climate zones that you can find on this planet. You've got 5 volcanoes, 2 of which are active. So I encourage you to go around and see some of the spectacular scenery and spectacular geological features that we have on this island. We also have a growing ocean industry here. There's something called the Natural Energy Lab of Hawaii, and it has 43 marine companies at it. And it is just an incredible marine development, and for those who are available on Thursday, we have a special tour that's going down there, and I understand we have a few more seats available on that, so if you want to go out and see the registration people, we can actually take you down there, although they are one of our 100 exhibitors here at the conference. I would also like to note that this day in 1519 was the day that Ferdinand Magellan started ocean exploration. This is the day that he left Europe and began his quest to sail around the world. And he didn't actually make it, but I mean his expedition made it around the world, and that started off the whole tradition that we have of long distance scientific and semi-scientific expeditions. He took a lot of measurements when he actually made his expedition, and that got a lot of things started in the marine community. Our first actually oceanographic expedition wasn't until 1872 with the Challenger expedition. And now we are routinely going to sea with new deep diving equipment, new sensors, a whole new range of measuring facilities, both below the ocean in terms of observatories and AUVs and RUVs and submersibles, on the surface of the ocean with many new classes of ships and robotics, in the air with sensors and satellites and a whole range of devices, so that we're getting a much better idea of what the ocean has to offer and what is happening to it. And you will hear that at this conference probably more than any other place. We had a record number of abstracts submitted to this conference, about 750, and we just have a packed program. In fact, we used every meeting room the hotel has to offer here to make this available to you. So we're very, very pleased with the way this conference has come and has developed. So we would like you to take full advantage of that, visit our exhibitors, go to the many sessions. We're particularly honored to have the Underwater Technology Conference join us. We had a tragedy on March the 11th in Japan. We had a tsunami, an earthquake followed by a tsunami, followed by a nuclear meltdown. And the Undersea Technology Conference there had to be canceled, but we were very honored that they chose to incorporate their conference into this conference as a session. In fact, the plenary session for that conference will be the first session this afternoon. So we have 2/3 of the papers from this undersea technology conference that we had in Japan. So we were able to bring many of our Japanese colleagues over here, and we're very honored that they put their confidence in us and have agreed to join us. Now, I'm going to cut my remarks a little bit short here because this conference is so packed and we have so many excellent people, and the space, although it is the largest space outside of Waikiki, the space is still compact, so that the hotel has to turn this space around for lunch and has asked us to finish our remarks here by about 10:30 this morning, including all of our excellent speakers. So the next thing I will do is welcome our two society presidents. You may know that the Oceans Conference is a joint effort between the Marine Technology Society and the Oceanic Engineering Society of IEEE. So I will first welcome Jerry Boatman of the Marine Technology Society and then Jerry Carroll of the Oceanic Engineering Society to give a welcome. Jerry?
Thank you, and instead of aloha, I'll say mahalo. Thank you for being here. Thank the attendees, thank the hosts, thanks to the speakers, and most certainly thanks to the local organizing committee, because without the local organizing committee, none of this would happen. We rotate our conferences to enable the memberships of both societies to be exposed to new technologies and new science and new instrumentation. And that's why it's important for you to visit the exhibits, particularly the exhibit halls, because they're the sponsors of a lot of this, as well as the technology sessions. So we invite you to participate heavily. Don't just enjoy the sights, but learn from what's going on. And my welcome is on behalf of the Marine Technology Society. And for Jerry, I'll allow you to welcome for OES.
All right. Well, I certainly want to welcome you from the Oceanic Engineering Society of the IEEE, and thanks for your support, and enjoy the conference.
So thank you very much, Jerry's. The next person I will invite up is Captain Ty Aldinger, who has been tirelessly putting our exhibits together and has also worked with me on the Oceans 2001 conference in Honolulu and didn't give up. And he will be reading a proclamation from the governor, who would have liked to have been here, but I guess is in Paris.
Yeah, the governor has chosen another continent. The lieutenant governor is holding down the fort on Oahu, and I'd like to thank the governor's representative who's in our audience today. John, if you'd stand up. John Buckstead, representing West Hawaii and the governor's office from the fine 50th state of Hawaii. It's my pleasure this morning to read a commendation that the governor signed to kind of give us a push with regard to ocean technology in the 50th state, and I'll read it verbatim for you this morning. This commendation is presented in recognition of the OCEANS11 MTS IEEE KONA Conference and Exhibition. Aloha from the governor and the governor's staff to all the attendees, presenters, and exhibitors of OCEANS11, and to the exhibit and the exhibition hall. The theme for this year's conference: Oceans of Opportunity, International Cooperation and Partnerships Across the Pacific, reflect the determination, cooperation of the Pacific Rim and our global community to work in partnership to preserve and protect our oceans and its inhabitants. This conference also raises awareness about the importance of taking care of our oceans and supporting programs that help to sustain our way of life in these islands, including renewable and alternative energy projects, such as aquaculture and ocean and wave technology, marine biotechnology and desalinization projects, and promoting the ocean conservation tourism industry. I understand that the conference will host a free Educators Day for upper elementary to high school teachers and offer workshops on teaching children and youth about ocean-related topics. There will also be a student poster competition, and I'm sure many of you who have attended this conference in the past know that that really is a highlight. So make sure that you reserve time during your 3 days here to spend time talking to these students that are the future of our industry. These activities will surely result in children and youth being more responsible to the stewardship of our oceans. I commend the members of the Marine Technology Society and the Oceanic Engineering Society of the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers for your leadership of this event and providing scientists, engineers, and those who have a vested interest in the welfare of our oceans with the opportunity to network and share their knowledge. I hope that the visitors attending the OCEANS11 conference and exhibition have an enjoyable stay in our island. E malama o ke kai. Take care of the ocean. Thank you very much, Governor. John, thank you very much for representing him here today. And now I have the distinct pleasure of giving a true opportunity for a Big Island welcome. It's my pleasure to welcome to the podium the quiet, the reserved, the unassuming, and very wonderful mayor of the Big Island of Hawaii, Mayor Billy Kenoi.
I truly appreciate that inaccurate introduction. Okay. I do want to say, first of all, a big mahalo to Dr. John Wiltshire, Alan Hilton, who are the chairpersons of this wonderful event and gathering of the best and brightest from around the world here on the island of Hawaii. I do want to say aloha to my honorary co-chair, Dr. Brian Taylor, from the School of Ocean and Earth Science and Technology, which means we get credit for being co-chairs, but we don't have to do any of the work. But, you know, to those who belong to the Marine Technology Society, to those who belong to the Ocean Engineering Society of the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, that's a long acronym, man. But, you know, it's so exciting. When I first heard that we'll have 2,000 attendees from 32 countries, 103 exhibitors, talking about our oceans, our universe, that all of the best and brightest, the visionaries, the thinkers, that spend your time, your effort, that utilize your education, your experience, and your expertise to create new frontiers. I think there's no better place to do it than here on the island of Hawaii. An island 4,028 square miles, larger than the states of Delaware and Rhode Island, same size as the state of Connecticut. We have a mountain above us, Mauna Kea, 13,796 feet. I just make up numbers every time I say it. People have no idea. But this mountain is just awarded a $1.2 billion 30-meter telescope, the largest, most cutting-edge telescope that allows us to peer into the universe like never before, a sacred science in a sacred place. We also just accredited the University of Hawaii at Hilo's College of Pharmacy, the only college of pharmacy in the entire Pacific Basin. On this island has the most diverse array of renewable energy in the world. We have geothermal, we produce 30 megawatts, solar, wind, ocean thermal energy conversion here at the Natural Energy Laboratory of Hawaii, biofuels, biomass. We have a collaborative project at the Natural Energy Lab that is developing algae as a source of fuel for all of us going forward. We all know that this is an incredibly exciting and opportunistic time for all of us. We, Hawaii Island, the people of Hawaii, the people of the world, are counting on all of you, those with the vision, the thinkers, and most of all the doers, that will transform our world. We know that we come here from Hawaii, an economy dependent on agriculture, tourism, the construction industry, and military spending. But we know our children and our children's children will live in a 21st century knowledge-based economy that utilizes all of the science, technology, and expertise that all of you have. Our tomorrow depends on what all of you do today. So I just want to say thank you. I think the theme of the conference captures why everybody's here. Yes, it's an incredible, beautiful island that we're very proud of. World-class golf, deep-sea diving, international billfish tournament, the best fishermen in the world come here. Next month, we're having a world championship, the Ironman World Championships. The best athletes in the world will gather right here. But the theme, oceans of opportunities, cooperation and partnerships across the Pacific, absolutely critical. I've noticed in my short time, in the honor and privilege that I have to lead, that when our best and our brightest put aside ego and ideology and philosophy and differences, and we work together, incredible things happen. That the better people work together, the more incredible things happen. And it's not just a word, but cooperation, collaboration, and collective effort makes all the difference in the world. And I look around and I walk through the exhibits like I did yesterday. I think I might be in the presence of the smartest people ever in my whole life. So I'm counting on you guys, okay? But I just want to say it's incredibly exciting. I know there's significant challenges. There's some barriers, obstacles, and hurdles in front of us. But if we all work together, there is nothing any of us can achieve, and you guys know it best, who have so much to accomplish and achieve already. Thank you, all of you, for your time, your effort, and most of all, your aloha to our island, to our community, to our nation, and to our world. But most of all, thank you for thinking of our children and our children's children and the world that all of us will live in tomorrow. Aloha.
So, thank you so much, Mayor Kanoi, for inspiring us all with what we can do. And now I will introduce my boss, the Dean of the School of Ocean, Earth Science, and Technology at the University of Hawaii, Manoa. The School of Ocean, Earth Science, and Technology is one of the leading marine institutions in the world, and I ask Brian Taylor to say a few kind words.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody, for getting up so early. Despite Rhode Island's prior claim, in fact, Hawaii is truly the ocean state. As Mark Twain said, we live in the loveliest fleet of islands anchored in any ocean. Please take my welcoming remarks printed in the book as read. I'm not going to read them. I want to divert and talk about some of the things that our school has been doing that might be of interest. Our ship, the KOK, and scientists from our place in Woods Hole were part of a rapid response program to measure radiation levels in the waters and biota off Fukushima following 3/11. Our seismologists and ocean engineers are reevaluating the circum-Pacific threat of tsunamis and our local evacuation zones, which may be inadequate, especially from a big quake in the Central Aleutians, which could dwarf the Hilo experience of 1946. Our ships and deep-towed sonars are being used for deep-sea mineral exploration by multiple countries. In June, we re-established the deepest ocean-cabled observatory on the planet at Station Aloha, just north of Oahu. We're expanding the network of sensors and products of the Pacific Islands Ocean Observing System, including building our own full waveform, high-frequency coastal radars. We're working with the Navy and the Department of Energy to establish offshore hubs to test wave and ocean thermal energy systems. And last but not least, we're preparing to launch our own small satellites into low Earth orbit from Kauai in 18 months' time. The technical program includes special sessions on these and many other topics. Welcome and enjoy. Aloha.
Thank you very much, Brian. What would be here in the Pacific without the U.S. Navy? So our next speaker is Admiral Kate Gregory, the head of facilities for the Navy in Pearl Harbor, and will give us a perspective on the very great number of dynamic and important things that the Navy is doing. So Admiral Gregory, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you for letting me join you today. My comments are very brief. I'm here this morning to represent Admiral Walsh, who's the commander of the Pacific Fleet, and also Admiral Mossy, who's the Navy's chief engineer and the head of NAVFAC, both of whom send their greetings. I really have only 3 quick things to say today. First, I want to say thank you for what you do. We in the Navy know that we are deeply dependent on the scientific and engineering community that support our oceans and ocean research in order to get our mission done. We could not do what we have to do for our mission without your support and your teamwork. And we are deeply indebted, and I will tell you I am personally indebted as I go through what my organization does every day and realize how dependent we are on the work you do, the leadership you do, and the creativity you provide to this field of research. So thank you very much to all of you for what you do in support of the United States Navy. Secondly, I want to reaffirm our commitment to the oceans and to ocean research. We see ourselves as stakeholders in the oceans, and we're involved in a plethora of things, the more traditional things, which many of you are deeply involved in, which is monitoring the mammal population, studying where the populations are, seeing how those populations migrate, so that we can do our daily operations, to maybe things like understanding where we can build or not build Navy facilities and how we can be less disruptive to the ocean's bodies. But we're also deeply involved in things like the effect of climate change on our operations and our facilities, and also on emerging technologies like seawater cooling, geothermal technology, OTEC, wave buoy, and things like that. All of these are very important to the United States Navy as we move forward in our operations. We have also increasingly become involved in things like the effect of the earthquake, the tsunami, and the nuclear reactor disaster in Japan, and other less traditional natural disasters that we see continue to happen more frequently in our worlds that affect the oceans. With all of that, we are involved with you, and we appreciate your work in support of us, and we are committed to continuing that to the extent that our resources allow. Which brings me, I guess, to my third point, which is my request in this conference today and as we move forward for your continued collaboration. I think we would all agree that we're entering a period of unprecedented budgetary pressure. And I can see already that we are going to be squeezed to demonstrate the importance and the value of every dollar that we spend to our mission. And your continued support to the Navy of these programs as we move forward in the future is critical if we are to use those dollars most wisely and continue to justify these programs. So in sum, thank you very much for everything you have done and do for us, and we look forward to continued collaboration in the future. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I would like to thank all of our welcoming speakers that have, my goodness, kept to the time and you know, have us in a wonderful position here. I would now like to introduce Justin Manley. Justin is our wonderful technical chair who is the person who puts together all of the papers and organizes them in the sessions. And this is probably the most difficult job in an oceans conference. And I would like to welcome Justin and thank him for his great work, and he will carry on with some of our plenary speakers.
Thank you, John. Good morning. This is a great moment, sort of personally, to be opening the technical program, which a lot of individuals from both societies and the local organizing committee have contributed to. This was an experiment. My home time zone is 6 time zones away from Hawaii. But through the marvels of modern technology and a few frequent flyer miles, we managed to pull this off. So I would encourage you, we're going to focus here on time and give the most time to our keynote speakers. But if you look at your program, I'd encourage you to review the keynote speakers we also have with us from the UT SSC conference. As John mentioned, when that conference was canceled as a result of the tsunami earthquake situation, we were very pleased to invite our colleagues from Japan here, and you'll see in the program a whole series of sessions. You'll see in your package a separate conference proceedings disc with all of those papers. Not all of the papers on that disc are being presented here, but many of them are. And there is, this afternoon, immediately after lunch, the keynotes from that session are going to be presented, and I encourage you to look at the list of distinguished speakers from that event, which are identified in your program. But now we're going to move on to 3 very exciting speakers here for our opening session. And the first speaker I'd like to invite to join us is Dr. Marcia Mcnutt. And I'm not going to go to great length. You can read the bios of our speakers in your program. My favorite anecdote here is that I first met Dr. Mcnutt as an undergraduate student, and she taught one of the first oceanography classes I ever took. And I'm very pleased to welcome Marcia back and continue to learn from her in her current role as the Director of USGS. And just a quick note, we're not going to take questions at the end of each keynote. Again, in the interest of time, we're going to ask the speakers to change out, and then we'll have an opportunity to ask all the speakers a question at the end. So please do make notes of your questions so Marcia can take those at the end. Thank you.